speak tonight to tell you about how joining IFBW ended up being the best thing that's ever happened to me, and that I think it was in the cards for what God had set for my future. I feel joining has inspired me to be a better, more productive person in helping others. I feel proud to say I'm a member of IFBW. With the example set by the members, I've begun a journey God has set aside for me to help others. Without the beautiful women of IFBW, I wouldn't be where I am today. How the members went well outside the IFBW mission walls to go above and beyond was called of them. So without a long introduction, I want to get into the real substance and detail of my journey. I'm going to tell you what's happened since joining IFBW, which has been a lot. Things keep going upward and onward. I found my happy place and I found my calling, and I've discovered faith again. 2 years ago in November, about this time of year, I was escorted to my car from Watson manager Philip Lee. He told me not to return to the property like I was some common criminal. They were apparently doing some downsizing, and I was a product of that. I drove straight to Patty Hornbuckle. There she gave me exactly 5 minutes to cry. I had to take care of business, she said. Regardless of what had just occurred, I had to take care of business. I'm a single mother to 3 children. They need to see strength and resilience in the face of adversity. They need a strong mama who says, okay, this happened, let's fix it. Patty motivated me to get on the stick and find something else. So I updated and I prepped my resume. I made it pretty and appealing, praying for anything. I updated and I revamped it. I spent a few weeks on the couch crying and avoiding Patty after that. She's a tough one, always uplifting and making us better people. She has the best of intentions for everybody, and I can't believe how much faith she has in me. At that point, though, I just sank into a deep depression. I played games on my computer, and I contemplated staying there for years. I could have emailed my resume to potential employers, but no. I sat on my computer, and I became a millionaire, and I built my own community there for 2 weeks, and I napped a lot. On about the 3-week mark, Linda Allen sent a job opening at the Capitol to me. I had worked for State Treasurer Judy Bart Topinka, and politics was in my blood. Once it's there, it doesn't go away. So I submitted my resume and I crossed my fingers. In the meantime, Amy and Pam set me up with Thanksgiving dinner for my family. I had wondered how I would feed my children. I didn't know how we'd make that Thanksgiving special. I'm not sure if they knew what they had done, but they calmed my heart and my worry. They also gave me enough food for a week. You don't know how much a box of macaroni and cheese and a gallon of milk mean to you until you can't walk into the store and buy them. Melissa McMillan gave us enough meat from her own freezer for a week or two, and my refrigerator was full. My soul was calm, and I was revived a little bit. The kids started their Christmas vacation. They were home with me, which made it even more calming and means so much more to me because I had food all day for my kids. I hadn't heard from the Capitol, so I kept my sights on day-to-day feeding my children. I was on the phone all day trying to explain to people I couldn't pay my bills, but I was trying. I submitted my resume to so many places I couldn't count, but I trudged forward. During their Christmas break, I had to suck up my pride and walk into DHS to ask for help. I parked my car and I took a deep breath. I got my children out of the car and walked into that waiting room. It was a cold room. The walls were dark brown paneling. The waiting room was small. The workers sat behind a sliding glass window. I sat across from a mother with small children, waiting for my name to be called. You could tell she was a great mother, very attentive to her little ones. Her eyes showed struggle, though, but they had showed great love. She looked a little tired and weak. I looked at her and I made a vow that day to God that if He came through for me, I would pay it forward in whatever way He guided me to, and I promised Him with everything in me. My heart and my fate were all His. This woman's babies were so sweet. They played with the toys set on the table between us. My kids sat in the chairs watching. You could tell she struggled longer than I had. You could tell this wasn't her first time in the waiting room, and this wasn't her first rodeo. We had some small talk, nothing too deep, but I smiled really big at her children. They were the sweetest kids. My heart broke, and I was mad anyone would have to visit that place more than once. My drive returned, and I was determined. Take care of me and mine, God, and then I'll set out to help others. I applied for a link card, and I applied for a medical card. I prayed. I looked at that woman, I waved goodbye, and I walked out. I had just had the help from these incredible women in IFBW that he had sent to me, so I listened to God to move forward. I left the DHS office that day even more determined to make a difference somehow and take care of the women who were where I was. About a week later, Melissa McMillan and Linda asked me if I wanted to do lunch, and I was like, yeah, sure, okay, yeah, maybe I can do dishes or ask for money on the corner stoplight because I didn't have a job. They knew I was broke, but I told them I'd go, but they had to pay. I just spent my last roll of dimes on some cheeseburgers from Dairy Queen for the kids. I was still trying to maintain some normalcy in the house. They said I could pay for them when I got on my feet. They had faith in me, and that's why I love them. We met at Krieger's. They were killing me with all the Christmas talk, though. They talked about shopping and money, all the things I didn't have. I was like, excuse me, you guys, I'm right here, because they kept talking about Christmas shopping and the stuff they were doing, and my heart sank. They turned to me and they asked me if I had started Christmas shopping, and again, ladies, y'all know I ain't got no job, so could you guys lay off of that? Then Melissa slid an envelope over to me. I knew what it had in it, and I didn't know what to say, and I didn't want to open it because I knew it would move me to tears. My heart and my breathing stopped in that moment. I wanted to actually run from the moment because I didn't know how to say thank you enough. There was a letter signed by Patty. Chalk it out and pass it around. This is the letter that was in the envelope. There was a letter signed by Patty, Linda, Melissa, Amy, and others in the Taylorville area that they had donated money for me and my kids. There was $400 in that envelope. I couldn't hold back the tears. I was only thinking about telling my kids we'd be okay. We were going to be okay. And that started the waterworks, of course. Melissa let me cry for a little bit before she said we needed to pay. So I tried to pay with the money in the envelope. Of course, she wouldn't let me. She said to follow her outside. There's something she needed to give me. Linda, Melissa, and I walked to the car. She opened her hatch, and Santa had dumped his bag into the back of her car. I mean, it was like the North Pole had delivered all of Santa's goodies to her car. I could not believe it. Then it hit me. This is why she was asking me relentlessly what my kids wanted for Christmas. She was really getting to me with the questions in the past weeks. She knew I couldn't shop, but in one moment it all came to me. It all made sense, those sneaky little ladies. We hugged, they hugged me, I hugged them. Kroger had never seen so much emotion out in the parking lot. The parking lot was full of happy women. I took those gifts home, I stored them in the shed outside. I felt so relieved Christmas wouldn't be a bust. I spent the next day paying my bills with the envelope money. I had extreme peace of mind in one of the darkest moments. The gifts were wrapped and hidden again, all ready for Christmas morning. Then it happened. My refrigerator died. The food that was in there was saved, luckily, by the fridge attempts outside. The kids and I gathered all and anything we could salvage, and we put it in coolers on the back porch. Thank God it was cold. It was below freezing, and there was enough snow and ice to keep it all cold and okay for us. I had spent the cash on bills and had little money left to buy a refrigerator. We lived like that for 2 months. 2 months of back porch cooler living. That built some patience and character with 3 kids in tow. The first week of January, the Capitol called. I was standing in front of my daughter's school, dropping her off when the call came in. Could you be here by 2 o'clock? For me, I shouted, yes! I went home, I got as pretty as I could, I grabbed a couple copies of my resume, got myself together, and I drove to the Capitol. I was back home where I enjoyed working. It felt like this was my position to have. I interviewed that day for a position making $11 an hour for a 5-month contract. It would get my foot back in the door, and it could possibly open a lot of doors. So how was a single mother of 3 going to make it on $11 an hour drive there and back, food on the table each night? I didn't ask too many questions. I went with it. God was guiding me. God had taken me right there. The next week, I received the call to start on January 16th. I had a job again. I was elated to start at the Capitol. That was incredible. January 16th, I woke up in the morning. I grabbed the orange juice from my makeshift refrigerator out back, got myself together, and I drove to the first day of what would be the changing of the direction of my future. I had walked into the direction of God's guidance. Within 3 weeks, I was asked if I'd like a permanent position. There was a position open within the House staff working directly for 2 state representatives. And again, yes. I once again spruced up my resume. I grabbed my best dress I had in the closet. I interviewed 3 weeks later, because those state folks know how to make a woman sit on the edge of her seat and wait. Tick-tock, tick-tock. I interviewed the last week of February. They told me 3 hours later I had the position. I started the next Monday on March 4th. I started work for state representatives Barbara Wheeler and Bob Pritchard. It was a dream. I could not believe how far I had come so quickly. All because of the faith and love of God, and I have to hand it up to Him. So I've been in this position since. It's been a whirlwind of getting back into the saddle. I've met a lot of incredible people, and I've learned a lot. One thing I learned and remembered is that day in the welfare office. I think about that woman, and I pray she's found her way. I wonder if she's in my group I started. In September, during some non-session days at the Capitol, I started a group on Facebook on my lunch break. It was a result of a dream I had had the night before. I had spent the days before wondering how I was going to make it. I still had bills piled from when I was off work. Playing catch-up wasn't the most fun of games. I cried myself to sleep. God kind of said, find others like you. How best to do that but with social media? That day, Ovarian Nation was born. Ovarian Nation is a brainchild of myself and my wonderful best friend, Jenny Howard. We wanted a place to laugh and to inspire, to hold one another up. A result of these fine IFBW women who have helped me. A result of the strong groups of women I have watched and observed throughout the years since my divorce. How did they make such an impact on others? Through humor, through real-life advice, and through the result of hard times. With all of that, within a year, we have managed to build an online community of over 8,500 women. We've started a website aimed at helping other women, but most importantly, we've built a community of those who get it. They are women just like you. They're professionals, they're mothers, they're daughters, they're sisters. They're women who use their experiences to help others through real-life advice. They're women who have lost their voice due to abuse. Women who have lost their confidence due to someone ripping that away from them. They are happily married women who can give others hope that they too can find their Prince Charming. They're single mothers who inspire others through their struggles, and they're real women just like you and me. They're surrounded by women who have crawled up nails and grit to find their way and their happiness, and are willing to help others by carrying them with some strength, some humor, and giving them hope. Every single member, every 8,500 members, is beautiful in her own way. Every single member is a story. Every member has something to give to the group. We're positive, we're kind, and we are full of Patty Hornbuckles who say, okay, you can cry, it's okay, but you have to pick yourself up. We're full of Lindas and Melissas who jump in when help is needed. We're full of Pams and we're full of Amy's who make sure no one goes without. We're a strong community. There's always someone to help. So remember I said if God would take care of me back when I needed it so desperately and I would return the favor and do His work? Ovarian Nation is His work. Sometimes I wake up and I get discouraged. It's tough to maintain a group of over 8,500 women without some negativity trying to flow in, but I have 6 admins who help me with that. I can't give up. It's God's work I'm doing. In the face of adversity, in the darkest hours of my times, God came through to me. On earth, I'll do His work. Overall, IFBW has been the best blessing to me. I won't stop. I'll keep going, and I'll continue to pay it forward. I'll continue to make sure no one ever feels alone. I'll continue to help in whatever way I can. I'll continue to strive for every woman to have a chance to make it with kids in tow, with their husbands by their sides, by themselves, in their jobs, in their faith, with confidence, and with pride. For that woman in the welfare office and her children, for the folks who have helped me at IFBW, I won't give up, even when I feel like it, I won't give up. We have a website you can go to see what we're all about, and know that every one of you had a hand in making this community so strong. It was because of the individual and group support from the members of IFBW that I continue to give to others. And the reason that I brought Tracy with me today was because what better visual than an ON member? So she's agreed to talk for a couple of minutes about what ON means to her, since she's a